Welcome inside the Hall of Fame, y'all. It's Booker T, 6-time world champ, 2-time Hall of Famer. Got my man Brad Gilmore here with me. And man, we getting ready to do this thing, man. I'm having, you know what? I'm actually having a good time being at home with the kids, the wife. We just sitting back, trying to enjoy this time together, because I tell you, my schedule has been toxic. It's been hectic over the last 30, because I've been on the road, man. So for me, any downtime is good time. So I'm blessed. I'm fortunate. Bradley, how you feeling and how you doing?
I'm doing good, Book. You know, I'm like you. I'm kind of just fortunate and happy that everybody in my immediate circle is doing well at this time. I've been staying inside, completely quarantined, been binging on all kinds of different television shows, watching a lot of YouTube. YouTube's been a big savior. I'm gonna be honest with you, Book. I don't know where we'd be without YouTube right now. Not only are we streaming live on YouTube, but I've been just going down the YouTube rabbit hole as of late, watching all kinds of stuff. I have new theories on JFK and everything else.
Yeah, right. Hey, a friend of mine, Termite Watkins, man, former boxer. He boxed on the undercard of Muhammad Ali when they fought back in Houston back in the day. I think it was Cleveland Williams. I think he fought in the Astrodomes. Muhammad Ali fought that night. Muhammad Ali, great man, as well as Termite, even just as great. Termite got moved out of ICU. He got moved off the ventilator. He's up and talking. He's coherent. And I just want to thank God for keeping my man Termite around for many, many years to come. And I say, man, it's just another story to tell, man. You know, give this man a gold piece. He just has another story to tell. So I just want to thank God for, you know, giving my friend Termite just another day with his family.
Well, God bless him. I'm glad to hear that update. I remember my dad was actually at that Cleveland Williams fight, so I'm sure he saw Termite back in the day. That's great news. And Book, we talked at the beginning that we were going to have a special guest on, and the special guest is here. Should I bring the special guest on?
Yeah, man, let's bring him on, man. Special guest. Everybody know him, you know what I mean? He is the host of the Peep Show. You know what I mean? He calls himself the backstage Buddha. So ladies and gentlemen, give it up for my main man, Christian, good friend. Bring him in. What's going on? Yeah, man. What's happening, kid? Come over, look.
I gotta get straight in it.
There you go. You're looking good. You're looking good.
Good.
You know, you're looking good. You're looking good. You're looking relaxed. What you drinking on, man? What you drinking on?
Yeah, just a little water.
What's in the cup? What's in the cup?
Water. I promise you, it's water.
Got a little something to myself. You know, I'm offering this water here, man, the core.
Yeah.
And I let my son drink a little bit of it one day, and he said, "Dad, this tastes like mountain water." And I go, "What? What the hell you know about mountain water?" You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy, man.
Mountain water.
Yeah, seriously, man. Welcome to the show, man. How you feeling?
Thanks, man. I'm feeling pretty good. You know, it's just it's this routine. You know, it's like it's become this routine. Just trying to stay busy. And I could use a haircut. That's why I'm wearing a hat. Yeah,
I hear you.
I'm about to give myself a haircut, which would be pretty funny.
Hey, man, it's crazy.
I find myself in the evenings doing my old man walk around the neighborhood. You know, put my headphones on, listen to some music. You know, just you do what you can do. We're all in this together, so we got to get through it.
Yeah, gathering your thoughts.
Yeah. Two or three thoughts I have per day.
I swear, it's crazy, man. I find myself doing somewhat the same thing, man. I'm waking up like at 3 o'clock in the morning, and something just gives me the urge to go outside. And just, you know, I don't go too far, because, you know, there ain't too many brothers live out in this neighborhood. You know?
You don't want to scare anybody.
You see, but no, I'm serious, man. I was telling a story about this kid, man, that I told Brad, we can talk about this story here on the Hall of Fame. I was trying to talk about it on my radio show one night, but I really couldn't talk about it like I wanted to, but I'm going to talk about it right now. I was sitting at it was when I was working in WWE, right? And you know how WWE is, man. You're on the road. Like, you working your ass off, right?
In the grind.
You grinding, right? So I happened to have a Sunday off, and I was sitting at home, and I had literally an ice bag on both knees because my knees were sore from just being on the road, and I'm just sitting there relaxing. I might have been watching a football game or something, and then I got a bell on my gate. You know, it's outside my gate, and the bell just started going off, dee 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 dee, over and over and over, right? And I'm like, what the hell? What the God? So I jumped up. The ice bags flew everywhere, right? And I go out and I open my door. I go to the intercom. I go, who is it? And they go, it's Booker T here. And I go, I said, oh, hell. So I walked to the door and I said, God, get away from here, guys. This is my house, And literally it was an 18-year-old and like a 19-year-old. One was on a mini bike and one was on a go-kart. And then one of them goes, well, I go, what do you want? He goes, we want some autographs. I said, get out of here. He said, well, F you then, N-word. And boom, literally, I was so mad, right? They took off on the golf cart, on the go-kart in the mini bike. And literally, my head is fuming. I go and jump into my Hummer, right? And Charmel's like, baby, no, don't do it, baby, stop. So I'm like, no. I jumped in, roll out of the gate, right? I go down the street and I look both ways. My street is pretty long. I look both ways. I couldn't see him, right? And I just said, I'm going to take a guess and go right. So I went right, went down a little bit, and I saw both of them, okay? And I was like, oh, I got him now. Now, the one on the mini bike, it was a little ditch area. He got through that ditch area. The Hummer couldn't get there. The one on the go-kart, he tried to go. I blocked him off. Now, he turns around, and he's in these people's yard. In this yard that this go-kart is in is probably a couple of $1 million house. He starts doing donuts in these people's front yard. Dirt, grass going everywhere. And I know these people were so upset when they came outside that next morning.
I'm sure.
So he comes out on the street. He rolls down the street a little bit. I get behind him in the Hummer. I'm on him like this, right? Rolling down the street. So he gets scared. So he goes in some more people's yard and he goes a little ditch. And the chain comes off the go-kart. And then I get out of the Hummer. I commence to power walk towards him. I say, you better not run. I grab him by the back of the head, takes him to my Hummer, tosses him in. I get in the Hummer and I go, okay, now call me the N-word now. And then he was so scared. And he said, I'm sorry, my friend. Oh, God. I say, okay, I tell you what, you're going to take me to your house right now because I want to talk to your parents and tell them exactly what you said to me, right? So we're literally about no more than 2 blocks away. Before I got him a block towards where we were going to, it was several police cars behind me. Now, that's the moral to the story. A brother walking in the neighborhood late, something could happen. Even though I was in the right, cops knew who I was. We got the kid taken care of, man. But it's just crazy. And the thing is,
well, hopefully the kid learned a lesson that day.
You know what? I know.
I'm sure that he did.
You know what? This the more to that story too. I know the kid probably learned a lesson. He actually said the N-word, or his buddy did. But before all of that, the kids were fans coming to get autographs, so they couldn't have actually felt the way they were, motivated to feel when I told them to get the hell out. So anything can happen in this lifetime. I just want to let people know, man, life is real. Anything can happen in situations. Those kids, they were wrong. Anything that kids could have really got hurt if I was a certain kind of person. I could have went out there shooting or anything. So guys, just be careful. Don't go out running to people's house, especially in the thug mansion out here.
Also, it's a lesson that words are hurtful. They can be. Whether he realized what word it was that he was using, they hurt people.
You know what, man? That gives me a great segue into what we want to talk about today. More importantly, Ronda Rousey made a lot of news just last couple of days and just today as well. People still talking about it. And me personally, it would be, I wouldn't be doing injustice if I didn't say anything about this. Just because I love the business. I know, Christian, I know you love the business. You and I, we've gone down the road many, many, many times. And we've had so much fun so many times. I always tell the story.
Well, we were married for a while too. So
yeah, I'm serious, man. I always tell the story. I was trying to catch a flight one night, and I was like, "Man, come on, we got to get out of here." It was a house show. I was like, "Man, we got to get out of here tonight." And Christian like, "All right, let's get one more spot in," And I was like, "Come on, all right, man, let's get it in." But we get it in, let's take it home. Let's get one more spot in. Let's get one more spot. I'm like, "Man, come on, we got to take it home, man. Come on. All right, let's get that spot in. We got it in. All right, let's take it home. Like, one more spot. I'm like, "Man, I'm about to kill this dude." You know what I mean? But we had so much fun out there on the road, man. Performing, we had so much fun out there, entertaining. That's what we had fun at doing. And what we're talking about now, as far as Ronda Rousey goes, entertaining.
Before you go on, I want to elaborate on the camaraderie part there that we were just talking about. I remember this one time we were wrestling in this a minor league baseball stadium in Maryland somewhere, and there's probably a spot or something we've done a million times, but it was something with a scissor kick, and somehow your 1 foot came up and it caught me in the side of the head and it cut me, if you remember that.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, and I was bleeding like crazy. I go back and Doc is like, "We're gonna have to stitch you up." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm terrified of needles, right? I hate needles." So I'm laying on the bed. You came in to check on me. You're like, "You're all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just like, I hate these needles, they scare me." And Booker goes, would you feel better if I held your hand? And I said, I didn't say anything. I just put my hand out like this. And you reached out and you held my hand. And you were sitting beside me. We were holding hands. So I was getting stitched up. Yeah. And Charmel walks in. She goes, "Oh my God, you two are the cutest."
Oh my God, man. That's some stupid stuff. No, we let them business, man. That's what I'm saying. We had so much fun doing this stuff, man. Yeah. But when I heard the stuff with Ronda, and the one thing that always kind of irks me is the word fake. Entertainment, I can deal with. Entertaining, showman. I can deal with so many.
This is my feeling on it when I hear the word fake, and I get offended when I hear the word fake. When someone's like, "Oh, you do that fake stuff," but here's the thing: it's not fake. Because the physicality of it is very real. Is it predetermined? I think everybody knows the answer to that. It's a show. But the punishment that our bodies go through on a nightly basis is not fake. There's no way to. I retired because of injuries. So that shows you how fake it is. It's a work. It's not fake. It's a work. There's a difference. And that's my opinion on it.
Well, I mean, you say it's a movie fake, Shakespeare on Broadway. Is that fake? I look at it, from so many different perspectives, and I've never looked at wrestling as being fake. And I always, refer back to, Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer. When I first saw those guys go out and, man, they performed at the highest level. And they made me believe that it was as real as I wanted it to be at that moment. And that's what professional wrestling is. And
it's an escape. It's an escape.
It really is.
If it's you're taking the audience on a journey, the peaks and valleys of a match. The goal is to play on every single emotion that they have in their body and have it play out in front of them in your match and have them get lost in that. And that's where you get your reactions from, because they're emotionally invested in what you're doing, like a good movie, like a play, like any form of good entertainment.
Brad probably got that clip as far as exactly what she said, as far as wrestling being fake and this and that and whatnot. But what irks me more than anything about the comments is, someone like Ronda Rousey. I mean, she was great at what she did. She put women on the map as far as UFC goes and women in mixed martial arts go. I mean, she really brought that to the forefront. and it was a great thing. But the exit the way she did on two, dramatic losses, one against Holly Holmes, one against Amanda Nunes. Be that as it may, it is what it is. And then to be accepted into the wrestling world, and then to have to go out there and perform with all of those ladies in the locker room that she performed with. It's a slap in the face to each and every one of those ladies that went out there and had to work with her and make her, because I remember winning the title from you, and I know I couldn't have looked good winning the championship if you didn't go out there and make me look as good as I did. That's what we do for each other. And then to slap all those ladies in the face that made her look so good after receiving that check from this fake business, a check that, like I say, being put in a position where she was the, women's champion. She was, in the main event at WrestleMania. That speaks volume. And there's so many ladies in that locker room that really work really, really hard, work their asses off to actually get to that spot, like a Nia Jax, that never had got that kind of praise since she'd been there. And then someone walked from outside inside to this world and get it. It really is a slap in the face. And I just think Ronda, she needs to apologize first and foremost, because it was, I'm like this here. My mama told me a long time ago, if you ain't got something good to say about somebody, don't say nothing at all. What's your thoughts, man?
Well, I'm going to try to play, a different side of it. I do have a problem with it if of the word fake, like we talked about. I think it's like you said, degrading to the people in the locker room that she's working with, that this is their livelihood. This is all they've ever wanted to do. I'm not sure that maybe, and I don't know Ronda. I've met her a couple times, and she was very pleasant the couple times that I met her. But maybe it was one of those things where it was just a poor choice of words. Like I said, not necessarily. I know she was a fan of the wrestling business, which is why she came in, why she took it seriously. I never got the sense when she was in the ring that she showed up just to collect a paycheck. I always felt like she was trying to really, be the top performer. Like I said, maybe it was a bad choice of words. Maybe something in the lingo where she maybe could have chose something better to say than fake. She was a lightning rod at times in MMA as well. She kind of played that heel type role where people didn't like her for a long time, and she knew that in a sense that was good publicity, good PR. That people were going to want to see her fight, whether she won or lost. And maybe it's the same thing here. Maybe she, who knows? I don't know if she's planning on coming back, but wait, maybe it's a way to ruffle feathers, maybe a way to get people talking. And, she was kind of playing the heel character when she stepped away. So maybe she's just adding fuel to that fire, and maybe kind of setting the table in that sense, and almost kind of reminding people that she's still here. I don't know.
People might look at it that way, but when I hear something like that, coming from someone like that, who, like I said, same way about Ronda, as far as I didn't feel like she was just, calling it in or anything like that. But since the beginning of time, I don't think this is the way we created angles. I don't think this is the way we tried to get back in the game. I don't think Ronda Rousey is the type that got to go outside of, the framework of making a phone call and say, hey guys, put me back in and we'll create something. I don't think she had to go on Opie and Anthony to say professional wrestling is fake, so I don't know. We got a term also, going into business for yourself. Maybe it was one of those things. I don't know, but it's been a lot of guys in this business, from Josh Barnett, the Ken Shamrocks, the Dan Severance, that have come to and made money off of it. And I don't think publicly they're going to go out there and bash it and say, oh, wrestling's fake. Mark Henry even made the comment to, that, she's, kind of like Kurt Angle. She's kind of like, Kurt Angle put in so much work, so much time. The guy is literally a wounded warrior walking, not from what he did in the Olympics, from what he did in this business. And I respect Kurt Angle so much for what he put in.
Well, here's the thing. I actually had Kurt's very first match ever with him after he'd probably been doing maybe training for maybe a week. And he and I went out and had a match in front of a crowd, and he was really nervous. And I think the comparisons maybe that Mark were going for there were, and I'll second this as well, as far as seeing somebody, I'd never seen anybody pick it up as fast as Kurt Angle did. And I kind of felt when I saw Ronda, it was the same type of thing. She picked it up very quick, and I thought it was also because she was a fan. So I don't know, like I said, I don't know, it was a heat of the moment and just a poor choice of words. I'm not sure exactly what it was.
Yeah.
What did y'all think though of the comment about the ungrateful fans? Because she was going out there and getting a reaction, that I guess was less than desirable for her.
I think that's also kind of, to me, what made it feel like this was a kind of in character thing. Talking about the ungrateful fans, something that you would see a heel character do. And I think too, and we've seen it with before, and I think that because wrestlers across the board are so passionate, like Booker said, we're protective of what we do, we're passionate about what we do, we care about what we do, we love it so much, we get offended when people try to bash it or hurt it in any way. And you'll see sometimes, I remember Conor McGregor had said some stuff, and then what happens right away? How many wrestlers jump on Twitter? You get a reaction, and to me, that's what they're looking for when they say things like that. You're looking for that reaction, and everybody kind of falls for it hook, line, and sinker in some instances like that.
I look at instances like that, like Conor McGregor, and the situation right here, totally different, because Conor McGregor hadn't come to WWE and got a big, huge main event WrestleMania check. Got put in that position for 213 days, I think it was. Second longest reign in the women's, title reigns, so thus far. You know what? I look at that totally different, and for Ronda Rousey, the way I see it, to have come in here and collected a check and talk about us like that, that's what makes it a little bit different. If she hadn't come, from the UFC and was embraced by this, and now, okay, if it's a work, it's one thing, and normally I can smell a work. You know what I mean? Normally I can, but this one just does not feel like a work to me. If Ronda got me, more power to her. And I'm serious, but it just doesn't feel like it's a work. And like I say, for her to have come in and collected that check after, for many, many years, for many, many years, the MMA world, they just shunned upon the wrestling world. They shunned upon us getting action figures.
Well, and then, you see guys like Conor McGregor, like Chael Sonnen, who kind of adapt a pro wrestling personality, and they go out and they cut pro wrestling promos to sell fights. So, they're watching, and they have to respect it on some level if they understand that's what's putting asses in seats.
I feel the same way. I totally understand a worker. Like I say, maybe she's working a worker. She's working a worker, man. I'll be damned, man. She's better than I thought she was, because she definitely got me on the edge of my seat. It was something that I definitely want to weigh in on as far as where's this thing going. We'll find out, I'm sure, in the weeks to come. We're gonna find out exactly what's going on with Ronda Rousey. Brett, you got anything?
But is it hard though, guys, to go out there? Y'all would know better than anybody to go out there. Book, I remember you saying when the NWO was going hot and heavy, and you were the baby face, and you went out there, and the crowd was booing you as the baby face, and getting that reaction that you weren't going after. Obviously, Ronda, at some point, she started to kind of get a different reaction than she was expecting. I didn't know if that kind of led her into saying, "Man, these fans are ungrateful. I'm going out there, risking my body, trying to put on a show." And then they're out there booing me. I don't know, Christian, Book, what do y'all think about that? Did you ever go out and get a reaction that was less than desirable and made you kind of question the fans a little bit?
Now, for me, I can honestly say, like in the beginning of my career, when I first got hot, and I started getting hot, and I was a baby face, and And that's why I would never, I don't care if the fans are booing me out of the arena. I'm never going to say they're ungrateful. I mean, fans are ungrateful. Yeah, they're ungrateful. They're supposed to be. but I remember, like I said, when I was hot coming up, and then I would have to wrestle, and I was a babyface, and then I would have to wrestle a babyface like Steen, or wrestle a babyface like Lex Luger. And the fans would always cheer for those guys a whole lot more than they would cheer for me, you know. And be that as it may, why they did it bug me a little bit on the inside? Yeah, it did bug me a little bit. But I wasn't gonna come out and say these damn ungrateful fans, you know, they chose who they wanted to cheer for that night. Right. There's nothing I could do about that. You know what I mean? If I was having that kind of problem with the heels, it'll be another story.
Right. You know here's my take on it. I mean, of course, when you're out there and you're like as a heel, like I did not like getting cheered whatsoever. You know, I didn't want to have any redeeming qualities at all. But at the end of the day, silence is the enemy. When they're not reacting to you is when you have to worry. That means there's zero emotional connection. There's no connection at all to your audience. So I think it's a different day and age with social media and things like that. Obviously the styles change as we move forward here. But you know, like I said, you know, I just, as long as they were reacting to me, that was the big thing. I hated getting, you know, you're obviously going out there trying to get a certain reaction. I always seem to be able to get it. I don't know. I guess I have a very punchable face or something. I had an easy time getting booed, and I think they only started to cheer for me towards the end of my career because I'd put in so much time and had so much equity kind of built up in the matches that I'd had over the years. And they, out of respect, they kind of cheered for me, even if they maybe begrudgingly did it. But silence is the enemy, in my opinion.
Yeah, man. Muhammad Ali, he said back in the day, he used to boo him like crazy when he came to the arena. And it's just, this one lady, man, she used to like just, you know, she used to be at every fight. She used to be at every fight, you know. She was dressed immaculately. Used to be on the front row. And Muhammad Ali actually thought she was a fan. And he actually saw her, you know, got up close and personal and said, you know, well, thank you for coming to my fights. You know, she said, I'm not going to miss one of them because I can't wait to see him drag your black ass out of here, laying face down. But
you're saying he had an emotional connection.
No, but Muhammad Ali said, at least you're coming to see me.
Got your money.
Exactly, man. So I'm serious, man. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. Like I say, I hope it's a work. More if it's not, like I say, it's only going to get more heated. If it's not, and she really think it's fake, the UFC is still there waiting. You know, I'm sure Holly Holm is still over there waiting. I'm sure Amanda Nunes is, you know, still waiting. You know, I mean, Jermaine Ronda, man, I'm sure she's waiting. I mean, even Cyborg over there in Bellator, if you want to make a switch, if you're looking for a fight, a real fight, you know what I mean? There's plenty of fights out there, so I just want to throw that out there, man. We got Christian here with us, man, inside the Hall of Fame. Christian, what do you think about the UFC? You know, having to cancel this big fight coming up. I don't know how much you're off into.
No, I watch. I do watch. You know, I was bummed. You know, I've wanted to see this Khabib Tony Ferguson fight for a long time. It seems like it's just not in the cards to ever happen, right?
Changed.
But you know, I also, you know, I have a lot of respect for Dana White for, you know, trying to, you know, find a safe place to have these fights, much like WWE is doing with Raw and SmackDown. I think at a time like this, the world needs an escape more than ever. They need entertainment. So if we can do that in a safe environment, then I'm all for it. And, you know, I'm sure at some point I keep hearing about this fight island that he wants to do where he's going to secure a private island, have fights there. Yeah, that'll be interesting. But, you know, I was bummed. I was bummed about it. I was really looking forward to seeing them fight.
Yeah, man, I was really bummed about it. But I tell you, like you say, Dana White tried to pull out all the stops to try to make this thing happen. Like I say, pull off a private eye. Right there. I knew that was a stretch, but to actually try to pull something off like that. I was looking at You know how they always put these memes up, and they, you know how they got these memes where they can age you. I don't know, make you look like you're
Yeah.
old. And they had Tony Ferguson, you know, on crotch, and they had Khabib,
Yeah.
and both of them were like 100 years old. I was like, oh my god, man! But hopefully this fight go off. If that fight was to go off, who'd you think was going to win?
I don't know, man. It's hard to bet against a guy that's undefeated. You know, I think Ferguson's style, he's so unorthodox that he could surprise some people. He's obviously a tough guy, but it's hard, I always have a hard time betting against somebody that's undefeated. I mean, Khabib's undefeated for a reason. His wrestling is just otherworldly, you know. So I think that if Tony can somehow figure that out, how to not get smothered by him, and maybe keep it standing up, he'd have a chance.
Yeah, same thing I was talking about with Brad as far as Tony Ferguson style, because I like Tony against Cerrone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like Tony against, you know, several other guys. I like Tony, but against a guy like Khabib, I don't like Tony just because of his unorthodox style as far as I don't know, almost falling into a takedown. And that's the one thing with Khabib is different than anybody else. He's like a bear. When he get his hands on you, I don't know what it is, man, but he almost seemed to make guys submit when they're standing up. They're like, please, let's not get to the ground. Please, let's not get to the ground. When they get to the ground, they just start scrambling. Even Conor McGregor, once he got Conor McGregor in a position, you can actually see defeat in Conor McGregor.
I mean, when you know it's coming and you can't stop it, it's got to be frustrating, especially when it happens over and over and over again. You know, it mentally breaks you. I'm sure it does.
Yeah, I listened to Dustin Poirier when Khabib was on him. It was like, you know, middle of the year. He got second round. He came back third round. He said, I can't get this son of a bitch off me. You know? He was like, man, he was frustrated. He was just looking at himself like, it's nothing I can do to just, if I could just get some, and that's not going to happen. So I felt like it was going to weigh in Khabib's favor. What do you think, Brett?
I mean, I was kind of like with Christian, the fact of Tony Ferguson, so unorthodox. You know, it's a guy who likes being on the ground. He likes scrambling. He's got a real funny way about him. And his gas tank, for me, is one of the best in the UFC. That's why I always thought if anybody could withstand getting taken down and getting wrestled down by Khabib and still have gas left at the end of the fight, it'd be Tony Ferguson. And I even remember Conor McGregor's coach talking about their plan was, hey, when he gets you down, because he's going to get you down, you're not going to be able to avoid it. When he gets you down, just know when that bell hits, hey, we got to stand up at the beginning of the next round, and maybe that's where you can get him. And I think that Tony had a really good shot, better than a guy like a Conor, whose gas tank has always been a little suspect. I think Tony had a real good shot to take it to Khabib. But after 5 times being rescheduled, I mean, this fight's been rescheduled more times, or as many times, Book, as you were the WCW champion. So like we have to one day eventually get it, I would hope. But I don't know if it's in the cards.
Can I also just say this? When we were on backstage a couple weeks ago, and Book got on me for having some 8x10s in the background. I mean, I see some pretty similar there, Book, with a little shrine to yourself there.
You talking about this?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's just something we threw up. You know?
Yeah, those haven't been there forever.
All my old blacks, you know what I mean? Those go back to 1992, you know what I mean? Yeah. You know how we do it, man. I was just messing with you, man.
I know.
You know, I was just messing with you. You know, we can do that. Yeah. Now, the rest of them suckers, they can't get away with nothing like that.
Yeah. We did have some questions coming in, Book. I don't know if Christian, if you have time to answer a couple.
Sure.
Okay, cool. This one came in from Gregory. Wanted to know, after I watched Edge's network special, WWE 24, and after Edge fell off the bike, he thought he could come back to wrestle. After seeing Edge's return, do you have any hopes, Christian, of making a WWE comeback?
I mean, it's one of those things, right? It's a completely different injury. You know, I'm pretty content with all that I've accomplished. You know, in WWE, I pretty much accomplished everything I ever want to do except main event WrestleMania. And let's be honest, how many people actually get a chance to do that? it's just one of those. I'm 46 years old, and I had some concussion issues. It's just a matter of, I don't see it happening. I'm medically disqualified. I just not sure how I would ever get cleared.
All right, and then we got another one, and this one kind of makes me laugh. Book, I don't know if you were there, Christian, but Steven is asking, were you there for Booker T's infamous Red Bull incident?
Which one?
I was there for a couple of Booker incidents. One had to do with an NFL player wearing his boots in the locker room, but we'll save that for another day. There's some language we can't use, but that was probably my favorite Booker story of all time. But I do remember the Red Bull. I think I walked in just after it happened, but I remember hearing Booker with his booming, loud voice asking who borrowed his Red Bull, but the language is a little more colorful than that.
Don't mess with my Red Bull, man.
No.
Don't mess with my Red Bull. Yeah, heck yeah. Hey, man, that's the one thing I never understood people not understanding. You see one Red Bull or two Red Bull in the cooler, 100 waters, and you're not from around. Then again, some of the guys was from around. They still would do it.
And there was never Red Bulls in it. It was always water or Gatorade.
It's just stupidity, I think, more than anything, but that was more of a release. You know what I mean? I did that. That was more for me to actually do that. It was like you get a chance to do it. You don't get too many chances. You don't get that too often, to just go off and have like the stupidest reason to do it. $1.99 Red Bull. It ain't like you can't go buy a couple of more. It's a moment. That I always talk about. It's like in wrestling. I tell my students, "Hey guys, when you get a moment, you got to take it because that moment in that match, you may never get it back. Yeah, it's gone. It's gone forever. So every time I had a chance to get one of them suckers, that stole one of my Red Bull or just iced it, I was gonna go off, man, just on GP, man, alone, man. Any more questions, Brad?
Yeah, we'll do one more. Anthony Paterno said, Christian, who is your favorite person to wrestle? Booker, same to you. Book, I think that you said Christian is one of your favorites, right?
Yeah, definitely, man. Me and Christian it was always a night off. It was always work. It was always going out and performing. And the thing is, when I say a night off, that don't mean that we were going to go out there and half-ass it or anything like that. Even on those house shows, I don't remember going out and half-assing it. Even when we was having fun and I might have been laughing, we wasn't half-assing it. We was going out there and working. And that's the one thing that some people don't understand about being on the road, 275 plus days a year. You got to figure out how to go out there and have fun. You got to figure out how to go out there and make yourself happy, and it's the smallest little bitty things, because most of the times you're going to be traveling in a car, doing something that you really don't want to be doing. So those moments in the locker room, when I was back doing commentating and acting stupid when guys were in the ring, it was to make everybody feel a certain way when we were on the road. I don't know what it's like now, but I know back then we had a hell of a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, I mean, I look at my career in two different parts: the tag part and the single part. Obviously, the tag, the Dudley Boys and the Hardy Boys, we all made each other into superstars. As far as singles goes, like what Book just said, certain guys you have certain what's it called? I'm at a loss for words here.
Chemistry.
Gosh, I need a Red Bull. Chemistry. You have certain chemistry with him. Booker and I had that chemistry where we didn't have to talk. Like we could just literally go out there with a finish and go 20, 25 minutes. And I remember one time I was flying in. I had a flight that was delayed, and I think it was Omaha, Nebraska, and I landed in Omaha, and I landed as the show had already started. So at that time, Booker and I they were putting the Intercontinental title matches on first. So they wanted to start the shows off with a big match. So Booker and I were opening the shows at this point in time. Obviously, that wasn't going to happen this night. So I land. And I actually changed my gear in the one of the stalls in the bathrooms of the airport. And then I ran out and I jumped in a cab and I was putting my boots on in the cab, and we pulled up to the arena, walk in with my bags already in full gear, and the ring announcer was literally walking out from intermission for the match, and Booker's already standing there doing his warm-ups that he did before, getting a sweat on. And I said, "Hey, Book, what's up?" He's like, "I'll see you out there." And he walked out. I literally dropped my bags at the curtain and walked out, and we had like a 20 and like tore it down. Like, it was one of those things where it was such like a headache getting to the building that night. I was like, "Oh, we need to go out there and tear this up." And we went out and had a great match. But I had that kind of chemistry with Booker, also with Randy Orton. I had an amazing chemistry with Randy Orton. The series I had with him in 2011. You know, I've never been in the ring with a guy that has the instincts that Randy Orton has. And Randy's the type of performer that can't tell you why he does the things that he does. He just does them instinctually, like that. He's just that good.
How much of a lost art you think that is, man? Because I watch it now, and I try not to compare our era or anything like that with this era, and it's not right. First and foremost, just because the way we came up, we got a chance to have a lot of worldly experience before we actually made it to that next level. Yeah,
I think there's I look at it both ways, right? I mean, as far as TV and stuff, it's sometimes it's hard when you have commercial breaks and things of that nature. But I think you're also doing yourself a disservice if you don't know in some way how to perform without a net, so to speak. Because we, especially on live events, you're working off the reaction of your audience. And if what you're doing is not working, you have to be able to change it to get something to work. And if you've gone out there and you've planned everything A to Z, makes it really hard, you know?
Yeah. I watch a lot of it these days, and that's what I see more than anything. Like you just said, instinct, act and react. Because I always love to throw a guy a curveball. I remember working with Billy Kidman one day, and I think I told him duck cross body, and he ducked the clothesline. Then he gave me the sweetest cross body that he could ever give me, and I just caught him in midair and gave him a power slam, and boom, he's like, mother. He was so mad at me. Yeah. I'm like, brother, you set me up sweet. You know what I mean? But it was the act and react. I need the feel here more than anything. And sometimes I wouldn't tell guys the second part. I would just tell them the first part, and they would do everything right. Yeah. And it's such a lost art of guys being able to go out there and perform like that. And I really feel like we lost a lot of carpenters along the way. We lost a lot of guys, the guys like, Mr. Perfect, the guys like, Rick Rude, lost so many guys along the way that could have been teaching these young guys with this thing.
I wrestled Shelton Benjamin probably on live events for maybe, it seemed like a year straight. And he was another guy I had great chemistry with, always had amazing matches with him. Loved working with Shelton. He's one of my good friends. And when he was first kind of coming up, and he was pretty new, and he was still relatively inexperienced. And I think they switched it up not long before the show started, that Shelton and I were going to work for the first time, and we were on after intermission. So he asked me a couple times, like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? So I kind of went and I hid. Yeah. And so like nobody could find me. Then when intermission was ending, I walked up to the curtain, and he's like, where have you been? Where have you been? I was like, I was looking all over for you. Where were you? And he had this like deer in headlights look. And I was like, I'll see you out there, man. And went out there, and he was just like free, like he was just like, he had so much personality, and he was just in every moment. And I think that he appreciated that. And Shelton became a guy that preferred to go out and do that down the road from spawning from that match. He became one of those guys that like to do that a lot.
Yeah. Look at guys on the roster today, and I mean, the talent, man, is undeniable. They can go out and pretty much do anything in the ring, stuff that I couldn't even dream of doing. I was watching a guy like Ricochet, who got so much talent, but I'm still like saying, man, what is it going to take for this guy to break out? What did he need to do? And a lot of it is those little small, little bitty things that you're talking about. People saw Cedric Alexander get a shot as well, and it looked like he was about to get the rocket put on him there for a minute, and then all of a sudden things cool down. And it's because of those reasons. You get the ball, you got to be able to run with it, and it's no different than when you was there. It was no different than when I was there. If you get a shot to run with it and you screw it up and fumble, they're gonna take your ass out of the game quick. So I don't think it's any different now than it was back then. But I tell you, so many guys back then was able to step up and take the ball and run with it. I was just listening to a guy like Val Venus talk just a couple of days ago. And it was just some random stuff. But I remember Val Venus and his character, man. He was like over like crazy, man.
You got to commit. Yeah, you got to commit.
He was real, man. He was so over with his character, and to see so many of those guys in the locker room back then that were able to pick that ball up at any moment's notice and be put in the main event, and everybody believed that guy should be in the main event. I think that's the difference.
Yeah,
I think that we see today.
Yeah, I think that we'll call it a light bulb moment, right? You have to figure out a way to let the audience in. And and everybody is different, how they figure that out and what works for them. But once that happens, whether it's, it could be the way that you deliver a promo. It could be, it could be, a facial expression. It could be whatever it is that you have to figure out how to let your audience in. And when you figure out those ways, the game changes for you.
You know what I think it is, though, Christian? I think it's watching the right talent. Of course, like you just said, the Shelton Benjamin light bulb moment for him was getting in the ring and working with you without a net and having to actually act and react. And then hopefully from that match, he goes, "That's good. I got it." You know what I mean? All I got to do is go out and just keep having that same match. It's not that hard. You know what I mean? I think it's these guys not being able to peek out of the curtain and look at that guy out there and he's so wise and he's so experienced. You go, man, that's why he did that. I think we don't have that many of those guys, or the guys in the back aren't watching those guys in the ring like Randy Orton, because there are still a few on the roster right now that still and work from a very, very Shakespearean level.
And I know it's hard, but I mean, sometimes those moments come when you actually get in the ring with somebody like Randy Orton. You know, like I had been in the ring. I'd been obviously had done pretty much everything to the point when I got to work with Randy, and I was still learning stuff from him, and he was learning stuff from me. We were learning from each other. I think that's the beautiful thing about what we do, is you're always learning. You're always figuring out ways to make it work, because there's no off season. You're live every single week. So you have to figure out ways to stay relevant and stay engaged with your audience at all times.
Yeah. Hey, man, hey, guys, you're in the Hall of Fame right now. You're in the Hall of Fame. You got Christian. We're made man. He's a made man. You know what I mean? And I'm a made man. You know that. We got Brad Gilmore, who's on the wheels of steel, making sure everything is right. They call him the boat.
That's true. The boat?
Yeah, the boat. What does that stand for, Brad?
The best of all time.
Best of all.
Or Brad's opinions are true. Either one. I'll take either one.
Both of them suck.
I appreciate that, book.
Hey, man. Like I said, we got Christian here. We're just talking about anything, everything. We're talking about wrestling. But one thing I want to skip to here for a second, man. What do you think about Vince McMahon losing all this money, man, with this XFL and this coronavirus thing, just totally shutting the league down?
Yeah, I mean,
Can you imagine, man? I don't imagine how much money came out of the pocket.
Well, I mean, but who could have foreseen, something like this? And I'm sure that there's critics out there they're like, "Oh, I told you the accident," but it wasn't because of that. It's the unfortunate situation that we're all in, and it's going to hurt economically for a while. And I think that it's sad. I think that they were building something that was pretty exciting, a good alternative of a brand of football, I thought. And it sucks to see people lose their jobs, and it sucks for for the league to kind of not even really get a chance to flourish.
I feel the same way, especially with Houston just kicking everybody's ass. You know what I mean? We was on a roll. We was gonna have the X Bowl. We was gonna have the X Bowl here.
Yeah,
Houston, and well, that sounds good too, doesn't it? The X Bowl.
The X Bowl.
You like that? Huh? You like that?
Yeah.
You like that, Brad?
Is that what it's called?
You like that? I just made that up.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds good, though. You know what I mean?
All right.
They was gonna have the X Bowl here in Houston, and we were gonna be having an undefeated season. We was gonna win the X Bowl, get our first championship here in the city, and damn coronavirus just messed that all up, man. But I tell you,
but a lot of players too got a second look, and they got a second opportunity to get there in the NFL. You talk about the Roughnecks. PJ Walker now is signed to the Carolina Panthers. A lot of guys got picked up. So I'm with you, Chris. I saw a lot of people kind of dancing on the grave already of the XFL, like, oh, look, it doesn't work again. It's, second time failure. But I thought that they really had something special this time around, and a lot of guys got a look. It's more than just he hate me this time, right?
Right.
There's several players who got an opportunity in the NFL out of it.
Yeah, I think it was more of a victim of circumstance, of where we're at, and that's a sad truth.
Hey man, like I say, I'm just pissed, man. I'm just pissed because Houston. We had a winner, man. Especially coming off this Astros debacle, man. You know what I mean? After we went out there and almost had to keep up, pin it now. Hey man, I'm just saying. I'm just speaking.
You need to become a hockey fan, Booker. I got your team right here, Toronto.
I got yours right. Check that one out. Chucky Ducky Quack Quack.
We'll get you a Tim Horton donut coffee. Sit you back.
Hey man, we got backstage coming up tomorrow. Are you gonna be there?
I'll be there.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah. We got CM Punk coming back. What do you think about Punk, man, coming back?
Yeah, I think we haven't seen him for a little while. I was on one show with him that he was on. I think he adds a good different dynamic to the show. So I'm sure it'll be entertaining and fun as always.
You know what? I told CM Punk, man, since he's back, man, we need to start some kind of controversy. You know what I mean? Say, man, look, man, it's here, baby. It's here, man. All we got to do is just stir it up. You know what I mean? I say something, you react. You know what I mean? We both stand up, take our jackets off. We got something. What do you think? What do you think about that?
That'd be good. Just don't involve me in it. Leave me out of it.
To hell with that. I'm bringing you right in it. You're going to be right there in the middle of all of this. Serious. Oh, man. Bradley. Goldberg thing. Goldberg WrestleMania match.
Yeah.
What's the deal?
Well, they said that they almost still did the Goldberg versus Roman Reigns match. Goldberg was on a podcast, and said that they had filmed him and Braun, and they almost went back and were able to do the Roman Reigns match, which obviously was the way that, we thought everything was going. And then Goldberg said, though, he did his 2 matches for the year, and, you don't expect him back at all this year. And so that's probably into Goldberg for 2020. But it's funny that they still almost pulled the match off, after all the stuff.
I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if that's true or not. I think.
Oh, do you smell a work on this one?
Goldberg always, Goldberg got to make himself look good on this thing right here. You know what I mean? He would have had a better chance against Roman, and that's what it sounds like to me. I don't know, man. I don't know. What do you think about the exit of Goldberg, Christian? Do you think we'll see Goldberg back in the WWE again?
I think obviously he's a legendary figure in the business.
Made a lot of money. Made a lot of money. And I think at this point he's one of those guys that he's more of an attraction. I think less is more with a performer like Goldberg. You don't want to oversaturate what he is, and he's not a guy that's going to go out there and put in 20-minute marathon, 25-minute marathon matches. So the timing has to be right, and it has to be the right thing, right vehicle, I think, for Goldberg. So many times, man, guys like Goldberg, fans want to kind of like push certain fans, or not all fans, certain fans want to like push him out of the door. I want your take on that right there. As far as me, I always look at things from a promoter standpoint, from a booker standpoint, from overall perspective, because this is a show. and I say me personally, I need guys like Edge. You know, I need guys like, you know, if I can keep Stone, if I can get another one out of Stone Cold Steve Austin, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? The Undertaker, they always say, man, when the Undertaker, when he's gonna retire, if he's gonna retire, man, I need the Undertaker to stick around as long as he possibly can. Those guys like that are, you know, invaluable. Guys like that are definitely priceless, in a sense, and to have them around. And people always used to say, like, just say, for instance, when The Rock would come back, and when The Rock was a part-timer, Rock was doing his thing out in Hollywood, top draw out in Hollywood, and then he would make an appearance back, you know, for WrestleMania. And then you would hear a lot of stuff on the internet as far as, man, The Rock just coming back, taking a spot from someone. And me personally, I always looked at it like, man, these young guys on the roster better take notes and try to figure out how to get what a Rock got in his career, and hopefully they can manifest that one day for themselves, parlay that success as what do you think about the thought process of trying to get rid of all the older guys too quick?
Well, I think that I think a lot of negativity, I mean, you see it on social media all the time, right? It's just it's a place where people go, and more times than not it's negativity. And I think that a lot of times people want to know too much of what's going on behind the curtain than what they actually see, and they're already talking about, like, well, this is supposed to happen and this should have happened and blah blah blah, instead of just letting stories play out to what they are. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, you need there are attractions, and it's all about creating buzz. You know, like I said, there's no off season, so you have to create buzz at different points in time with these names. And it doesn't matter when you have a talent that shares space with these type of names that have built up the equity in their character, in their names. It helps. It does help them. And I think that if there is a way to use and integrate the talent that's on the roster weekly with guys that come in.
You know, I agree totally. I feel like The Rock would have been, you know, just as big a star that he is today than he, you know, no matter what. But Hulk versus Rock, that was awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To see Hulk Hogan, that era, versus The Rock, this era.
Well, I talked earlier about, you know, having the audience have an emotional investment, and that's what it was. Those guys all figured out a way to get their audience invested. And whether you like them or not, you have a reaction to them. And that's what it's all about. So people tune in when they come back.
Feel the same way. Bradley, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like you. I mean, I'm not one of the people who just roots for, you know, the old guys to get out of the way and make room for the new ones. I think that when you have, you know, we had somebody book, AJ, a friend of ours, who was watching the show, WrestleMania, for the first time in years, because he heard Brock Lesnar and Goldberg were on the show, and he wanted to watch WrestleMania. So, and then, you know, when you have people like that, maybe lapsed fans or casual fans who tune in and they see Ricochet, or they see Cedric Alexander, they see Rhea Ripley, Charlotte, they might, you know, get reinvested into these guys. So they're a draw and an attraction for a reason. I just hope that it isn't the end of Goldberg. You know, I hope that, you know, his last match isn't in front of, you know, zero fans.
It's finished.
Well, you say everyone's finished. you tell that to everybody. But I hope it's not the end of him, because, you know, Goldberg, part of his allure was being in front of that crowd. I mean, as it is with so many people, but just the entrance, people chanting Goldberg, hit the spear and the jackhammer. It's really a shared experience, more than you could tell in a 2.5 minute match. You know, I remember, you know, Book, you and him going out there working, and Christian, you and Goldberg. I think Christian, you won a poll for best spear ever taken or something like that. I think
Probably,
recently,
maybe.
from Goldberg. So I mean, he's one of those guys who I feel like if he's going to go out, he's got to go out in front of a crowd. And so I know he said that he only had 2 matches for this year, but there's always 2021 for Bill Goldberg, I think.
I don't know, man. The clock's ticking, man. You know what I mean? Time waits for no man. And Goldberg is he's put in a lot of time, no matter what. You know, people gonna say what's what. People people, if he come back, people are going to be saying, oh man, why is he here? You know, if he don't come back, people are going to say, man, we want to see Goldberg. It's always going to be up for debate. So me personally, I'm down with Goldberg. I want to see Christian come back. One last run, people look at me sometimes and say, man, Book, you got one last run. And like I said, I had a match with one of my students a few months back, man. I swear, man, I was sore for a week.
I bet.
And my body just was like, what the hell were you thinking? And I was like, don't try that again. So no, man, I'm not looking to get back in the ring anytime soon, bro. Nah, forget that.
You just want me to get back in there.
No, you know what, man? But because you deserve to finish on your own terms, man.
That's all right.
No, just like Edge, man. Edge went out and he finished it on his own terms, and I like that. I can appreciate that. And what you 38 now? 38? You still
39 and a half.
Exactly my point. You still got father time on your side. So for me, if I would say go do it. Go for it. Go for one last run.
I'm medically disqualified.
Hey man, I know you probably got to get out of here. I know you got some work to do, man.
I got nothing going on. Absolutely nothing.
No, seriously, what do you got? What's your daily routine right now?
Well, doing some homeschooling, playing teacher. That's a whole new level of respect for teachers, man.
Okay.
Like I respected them before because my father was a school teacher growing up, but having to do this.
What about this new math system?
I don't know. Math's my worst subject. Luckily my daughter's only 6, so it's like kindergarten stuff. So, but I have a hard time with that. I'm like under the table. I count with my hand. Like, yeah, that's right.
Oh man, no, it's crazy. It's crazy.
But outside the ring too, Christian, you've been doing some stuff in Hollywood, right? Have you been working on movies and TV a little bit as well?
Yeah, I did. Executive produced a movie that will be coming out called Cage Fighter. I got a
little piece in that too.
Yeah, a little action.
Yeah, cameo.
So they did that, and I haven't done any acting for a little while. I had a small part in that movie as well, but I did a TV show in Canada called Murdoch Mysteries. I was on the show Haven when Edge was on it. I did another independent movie called Super Grid a couple of years ago. So little things here and there, keep me busy. Trying to.
You heard about my new movie coming out, huh?
I saw the clip. Looked good.
You saw the clip, huh?
Yeah.
It does look good. I will say it looks good.
What do you think about it?
I liked it.
Huh?
You had the hair down.
Yeah.
Little intense.
Yeah. I look real jacked. I look real jacked on there. Yeah.
Don't go down in that basement, Book.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Hey man,
the old cliche about brothers in horror movies, Book.
Hey, no, man, I made it all the way through the movie, bro.
Hey, don't spoil it. What are you doing?
No, I'm not spoiling anything, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean? I didn't die. Okay, I'm not one of the guys that die. All right, so you can rest assured Booker T got a good role.
Did you tell them beforehand? You're like, look, when they actually had it written in that you wanted to die, and you went over and you talked to the director, and you're like,
no,
I don't have a problem with it, but I just don't feel like my character would do it.
Well, now the thing was when they sent me the script, actually I was dead. Way through it, look, brother, it's not gonna work out.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work out. All brothers. Why do all the brothers? So I lobbied a little bit.
So you got to stay strong. Stay strong.
You got to protect your gimmick.
Yeah, you got to protect your character.
I say, look, bro, kayfabe. This is what I got to do.
Yeah.
But no, man, I'm looking forward to it. I want to thank Talon Main actually for and actually let me be a part of that thing. I had so much fun.
He's a nice guy.
I mean, he really is. He's really
a good guy. Yeah.
As well as I'm looking to be in this next this part 2, the sequel. I'm just waiting on him to give me a call anytime now. He calling about part 2. So definitely. I'm looking forward to it. But no, man, my day is pretty much the same.
Look at that.
There he is.
That's a good clip right there. That's a good look. You know what I mean? I look intense right there. I look very intense. Tattoos are real too, guys. The tattoos are real. Those aren't just painted on or anything like that.
The hair's not, but the tattoos are.
The tattoos, and the hair. The hair is real too. Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, man, it kicked a lot of ass in this movie, bro.
I'm sure you did.
A lot of ass, and I'm waiting on. I'm sure. My thing is, I don't want to go to Hollywood. Okay, I just want to put that out there right now. All right, Hollywood. I don't want to go. So when y'all see the movie, the phone number is very easily and readily available. For me to make a move. I will come.
Yeah.
For the
You don't want to, but you will.
I don't want to, but a lot of people already been checking the trailer out and phone been ringing off the hook saying, hey, man, we got this. We might have once this thing clear up. It's going to be a lot of work out there. So
you're natural.
My thing is too, man, I'm all about bringing my people with me. I'm all about bringing my people with me. So just don't get on the wrong. Don't get on.
Yeah.
Hey, man, we're going to wrap this thing up, man. We're going to wrap
all right, buddy.
But I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, dog.
All right. Thanks, Brad.
Take care, Christian. Thank you.
See you guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Bradley.
Man, there he was. The legend himself.
It's Christian, man. It's Christian. And he's just straight up OG and tell it like it is. I appreciate Christian for being able to tell it like it is. Because I needed him on here to actually talk me down off the ledge, to run around.
The Ronda thing, yeah.
Yeah, they want to, go crazy. So I needed an advocate, you know what I mean? Someone that could, say, hey, man, now, well, let's look at it this way. It's almost like going to mediation, when you just go in, you mad, and then they once you walk out, it wasn't so bad. One of those type of deals, so yeah. But what do you think, man? What do you think?
Well, with the Ronda thing, I was a little bit like you of just, when I first saw it, I reacted, I had that visceral kind of reaction to it. Like, oh man, what does she think she's doing? And for me, I don't have it the same way, you and Christian and a lot of the boys had it. I'm not a performer inside the ring, but I haven't been around the wrestling business now, even at our level at Reality Wrestling for the past 8 years. There's certain things that you don't really want to hear said. And fake is one of the ones. It really is bothersome to me. I mean, and that was really the part of her comments that got me the most. And when she was like, y'all want to get, all torn up over fake fighting. You've never been in a real fight. I'm not here to protect these wrestlers' bruised egos or what have you or whatever. And if she's working, she's working. She's got me riled up. I want to see somebody beat her up. I want to see Nia Jax go at her. I want to see Becky crack her skull. I want to see something happen. But when you say the fake thing, it's really disrespectful to not only the industry and the sport in general. I think it's disrespectful to all the people who put you in a position to main event WrestleMania and become a star. The Alexa Blisses of the world, the Nia Jaxes of the world, the Becky Lynches, the Charlotte Flairs, everybody who you got to go through in your run as champion. It puts them, I think, in a bad light. It shows me, and like I said, she could be working, but it shows me that you don't respect those. And to me, you can't say, I love all the girls in the locker room, but these are fake fights for ungrateful fans. Those two things don't correlate to me. Yeah, if you have respect and love for everybody in the locker room, then that means you have respect and love for everybody involved with the industry and the sport, and that includes the fans. And, Roman and John, you and I were talking earlier, Roman Reigns and John Cena, when they went out, they were booed unmercifully. At WrestleMania 32 in Dallas, Texas, 101,000 people were booing Roman Reigns out of the building. Yeah. I never heard him once say, I hate these ungrateful fans. He went out there the next night on Raw, smiled, did his job, and went on to the next town. He didn't sit around and cry about it. So I felt the way about what Ronda said, but again, maybe she's got me too.
Well, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and berate her or anything like that. But there again, she's no Kurt Angle. I am going to say that.
Right.
Kurt Angle is one of a kind. Kurt Angle is a guy who put in so much work and a guy who respects this business to the utmost. And you could tell, and if you don't, just look at him. He's like I say, he's a wounded warrior, a guy who put his body through hell for this business. And I can only respect him for that. And that's why I say the two is a vast difference between the two, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, Kurt was a guy who at least from a fan's perspective, looking at his career, he was a guy who never let anything shake him, right? I mean, even in the Olympics, he had a broken neck. He didn't quit. He didn't give up. He went through, got the gold medal, did it for the country. And then he went on to WWE. And at first, he was another guy who they brought him in. They're thinking he's an Olympic hero. He's a gold medalist. The fans are going to love him. But you plop Kurt Angle right there in the middle of the Attitude Era. The fans reject him. They said, we don't care if you're an Olympic hero. You're annoying. You're too clean cut. You're a cookie cutter. We're rejecting you. So then Kurt leans into it, becomes a phenomenal heel. And then, like you said, he put in the work to become one of the greatest of all time. I mean, when you make that top 25 list of people who've come through the doors of WWE, Kurt Angle's going to be on it for what he was able to do in his career. And it was somebody who, when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, it was well earned. It was deserved. And not once did he say, the things that I did in the Olympics, it's not like this stuff. This stuff isn't real. What I did in the Olympics was real. Kurt, he made you feel like it was real. When Kurt went out there, they just did some on the network about the match with him and Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
And Kurt said, I took it personally that people said that Shawn was a better in-ring performer than I was. So I wanted him to go out there and prove it to me. And he said, I tried to blow him up every opportunity I could. I tried to make him prove to me, not to everybody else, prove to me that you're the best. That's that mentality that I love from Kurt Angle.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, he was one of the best. He was one of the guys that went out and no matter what you thought, as far as Kurt Angle goes, the guy performed at a very high level. I mean, he went out and not just in the ring either. I mean, when you needed a laugh out of Kurt Angle, he was going to go out there. He knew he got it. Okay, He got it. That's what a lot of people don't understand. I mean, he got it. He knew what the business meant. A lot of people don't get it. They may think they got it. They may think they know, but they really and truly don't. So I put Kurt Angle in a different category than most. Not only did he learn this business quick, but he got it. And that's the difference between Kurt Angle.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree with you. And to me, there's a few people who come in from different sports, right, and have done really well and adapted. Kurt being one of them. I mean, amateur wrestling to pro wrestling. Brock's another guy who came in and he adapted real well. And when you look at the work that Brock's doing now, he's on another level than a lot of these guys. And then Ronda came in, and I agree with what Christian said. She really impressed, in my opinion, when she came in and the match that she had with Kurt and Triple H and Stephanie at WrestleMania. It was one of the highlights of the show that year. She went on to have great matches. But I don't put her in the same category as a Brock or a Kurt. And I guess because right now we only got 12 months of a career from her or less before she wrapped it up. And if you ask me, I'm not a betting man. That'd be Jerry Bow, but I don't ever think that we see her at least anytime soon in WWE, because I know she's still off trying to do family stuff. She's always got her movie stuff going on, whatever she's got going on. Congrats to her. But I think guys like Kurt, guys like Brock, these were special situations, and Ronda adapted well, but we don't know how great she could have become. We don't know how great she could have become because, we didn't get to see it. She stepped away. And she said that she would never return on a full-time basis. And I think that was really an appeal for me as a fan watching, was that she was there every week. Yeah. You can't have two Brocks. You can have one Brock. You can't have two Brocks, right? You can't have two people who come in and they're champion and they're not on every show. I accept it with Brock because of who he is and what he brings, I feel like, to the table. I can't do it with Ronda and Brock. So I don't know if I'd even all the way be down for her to come back on a part-time basis.
Well, I mean, my thing is, if she came back after, like I say, saying this thing is fake, it just puts her in a position where now she got to go out and work all the fake wrestlers. Anybody beat her, it's not real. It just doesn't sit well with me. And that's what I'm talking about when you talk about that kind of stuff. And if she's going to stay on the outside talking like that, that's one thing. Okay, cool. Fine. You got your money. You got paid. You can bash them now. Cool. That's fine. That's what they do these days. You know what I mean? But as far as you talking about a real fight, there's plenty of real fights out there still left to have. And all you got to do is just, make a phone call, and I'm sure those fights could be made. If you want to be in a real fight, don't judge people. If you don't want people to judge you, that's the way I got to look at that. Don't judge people. If you don't want people to judge you, because people could be talking about the Nunes fight from here. How long was that fight? It wasn't that long. I mean, people could be talking.
It was like 2 minutes.
People could be talking about the Holly Holmes fight and running memes on that kind of stuff on a loop on social media. If that was the case, so don't judge people if you don't want people to judge you. I mean, you took the money. So my thing is, I know the higher ups in the company, they're not going to say anything about that or anything like that, but. And maybe they shouldn't, but for me, I feel like it's my duty to speak up on something like that. If you're gonna speak like that, don't take the check, because I know that check was probably bigger than just as big as any check that she ever made in the UFC. I'm sure the action figures that she got, the royalty that she getting off of them, I'm sure she still takes. Don't spend the money if you feel that way about if it's fake. That's the way I look at it, because anytime and I'm gonna leave on Ronda Rousey on this right here. Okay, when a little kid, I'm talking about 10 years old, walk up to me and they ask me a question like that: is wrestling fake? And I go, you know what wrestling is? I say, anything that put a roof over your head, food on the table, and clothes on your back is as real as it possibly can be. Okay, Ronda Rousey, take that and think about that for a second. That's the way I'm in that.
I think that's beautifully said, Book, and it brings something up that I just saw in the chat that I wanted to get your reaction to. Because I was going on Twitter and talking about it a little bit, but I know you and I spoke about it. You saw the Brawl for All documentary, right?
Yeah.
On the Vice Lamp. First off, what do you think of that series, the Dark Side of the Ring series? Because I have an opinion on it, but I wanted. I mean, what do you think about the series as a whole?
I love it. It's actually bringing insight from a perspective to where it doesn't bother me. Stuff with New Jack, it was crazy. The stuff with the Brawl Fall, it was nuts. And I used to be I was in WCW, and I thought I wanted to be in the Brawl Fall, but hindsight 2020, I'm glad I wasn't in the Brawl Fall, man. It was nuts. But it was a different time back then. The guys were a lot different. The testosterone in the locker room was all over the place, and it was Wild Wild West, man. It was crazy.
That Brawl for All thing was nuts. It was nuts to watch. I think we talked about it, but the Vince Russo's whole thing was just to get back at somebody in the locker room. That was the whole reason he came up with the Brawl for All. Yeah, I lost a little bit of respect for him for that instance alone. But with the series as a whole, I don't know. You don't feel like it's a little exploitive of the business? And I say that in the same way that the Nancy Graces of the world, every time a wrestler would pass away, oh, here we go. We're going to do a big expose on wrestling. Here's the list of all the guys who've passed away from it. Here are the negative, as opposed to what you just said about if somebody were to come up to you and ask you about wrestling, hey, put a roof over my head, food on my table. I was able to provide for myself, have a great life. You're one of the success stories. I feel like these outside entities don't, like the Dark Side of the Rings, they don't show the good side. They don't celebrate. Well, they don't celebrate the success stories.
Those stories don't sell.
Well, I know. That's why I'm saying they're exploitive.
I watch Unsung a lot. It's about musicians and musical groups and how they came up, and literally almost 10 times out of 10 times, somebody's going to kill themselves. Somebody's going to be on drugs. The group's going to fall apart. They're going to come back later and do a reunion tour. And that's just the beauty of the story. Wrestling story, a lot of wrestling stories are dark. There are a lot of dark sides of the professional wrestling business. And back then, that was just one of the stories that was, one of the dark stories, and it was real. First and foremost, it wasn't anything fake. It was real as it possibly could be. And a lot of guys, careers were over with after the brawl for all. Even the guy who won the brawl for all, we never saw Bart Gunn ever again.
After that Butterbean
After the
fight.
fiasco, but it is what it is, man. It was what it was, and the guys that were in it, I was sure they were actually kind of having fun when they were doing it. It was probably just stupid fun. You heard Godfather say he was smoking so much before every fight. So
he's a trip, man. He was a trip in that documentary.
I'm sure it was one of those things, man, where the guys were just like, okay, I mean, I'm cool, I'm down with it, you know what I mean? So I don't look at the dark side of the ring as just being bad by making the wrestlers look bad or anything like that. They're just real stories, and they're just capturing those stories and bringing you inside and giving you a behind the curtain look at, how dark the business, was. And now, honestly, the business is a whole lot different than it was back then. So we can see the evolution of where professional wrestling has come.
But that's my thing, is they don't show that. They just, because to me, like, finally wrestling, okay, for like growing up, after kind of the boom of the Attitude Era, whatever, and that died out a little bit, like, as a fan, sometimes you didn't want to say that you were a fan. Like in school, if you were the wrestling fan, people were like, oh, you like that wrestling stuff? It was like a little weird, right? And so for me, I thought wrestling finally got to a point in the last few years where it seemed to be mainstream acceptable again. Like, you see the Bellas are doing what they're doing. John Cena's in movies. The Rock's in movies. WrestleMania's doing 100,000 people. It seemed to be like accepted by everyone again. Like, okay, wrestling is a respectable art form. And then you have this Dark Side of the Ring series, which is like, oh, but let's talk about all these. Look, New Jack was stabbing guys in the ring. Then you have, Bruiser Brody was murdered, at a wrestling show. You have the Von Erich tragedy. You have the Brawl for All. You have this, that. And I'm like, hey, I get that we need to talk about them. I'm not saying let's not talk about these things. Let's not have these stories out there. But for your whole concept of your show is the bad of professional wrestling. That's what they should have called it.
I don't think it's the bad of professional wrestling. It's just some of the stories that have happened in professional wrestling, and a lot of people want to.
But they're all negative. They're all dark. It's the name of the series.
They're dark, but they're stories that people need to know about. It's Chris Cuomo do a story called Inside Evil, where he go in the penitentiary and talk to serial killers. It's people want to know about that kind of stuff. It's not anything that's bad or good. It's something that's educational, and people need to know about it. People need to know about how far the business has come to where it is now. People, Godfather say he was smoking before. Young kids like today, they can't do that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? People talking about the steroid area. They can't do it in this company, in this day and era, because it is a fast testing policy, So I say the young guys now, as far as them after the show, are they going to be out in the bar drinking all night and chasing women all night? They're probably in their rooms playing their video games. You know what I mean? They probably having a video game party or something like that. And it's not going to be a whole lot of drinking at all. So I think for these young guys to be able to see, what the business was like and what it is now, I think it's very important, especially just say, for instance, the New Jack thing. If you think that's what you got to do to make it in this business, look at New Jack's career. Where is he at right now? How much money did he actually make doing that? So take that as an example and be able to use it, opposed to just saying, "Nah, that's not something I want to see." I think for me, it's educational, and that's the way I look at it.
I could see that. I think that's actually a good point I didn't consider. But I guess I'm thinking about it from the people who I've had a battle with for years of, no, professional wrestling is like a real art form. Trust me, like, it's not what you think it is. And then they turn on Viceland and they see New Jack, or they see the Brawl for All, and they're like, what do you mean? It's exactly like I think that it is. And I'm cool with, like I said, I think that those stories need to be told to a certain extent. But when that's all the stories are, you know what I mean? That's all the stories are. I mean, it's just a little thrown off by it. I just think that why can't you show, look, for example, the 24 special that the network did on you was one of the best things that they've ever done. That it's one of the best documentaries WWE has ever done. I sat and rewatched it about a week ago, or 4 or 5 days ago. It's one of the best things they've ever done because it shows you a great story of where you can be and how this industry allowed somebody to make something of themselves in a success story. The Edge thing, that was another great one. It's like, here's this guy who took all these big risks in his career, thought it was over, was able to find his way back. It's inspirational, and it shows people there is a way. And to me, that's more rewarding than seeing 12 guys who are untrained at professional fighting trying to fight each other for 10 grand or whatever it was. Like, to me, your story, Edge's story, would do more for somebody than the Brawl for All story would.
Well, I think those stories should be played, but just in different contexts. I think the Brawl for All for that type of setting beyond the ring, is that what that's called?
Dark Side of the Ring.
Dark Side of the Ring, I think is a perfect setting. My story wouldn't be a good story for Dark Side of the Ring because
it's not dark.
No, well, no,
it's inspirational.
Certain parts of it is dark, but
right.
Certain parts of it is inspirational. And at the end of it, it's a feel good story. A lot of these stories aren't feel good stories at the end of the day. You saw New Jack. They say, how would you see the end of your movie? And he say, sitting in a wheelchair, snorting cocaine. See, that's not going to be my story. That's not what I want my story to be as well. So certain stories are meant to be played in certain settings. So I like certain movies. I'm watching right now, The Godfather of Harlem. It's dark, man. It's dark, man. It's really, really dark, but I like it. You know what I mean? It's actually a really, really good series. Right now, I'm only third one in, but it's dark as dark can get. But that's life and that's reality. And I think if we try to shield ourselves and think we can walk through life and that kind of stuff don't happen, you can be setting yourself up for failure. Like I say, for young wrestlers, if they see that, hopefully they can take it and make it a life learning lesson. It's just like watching the movie The Wrestler. Is that real? Yes, it is real. Do a lot of guys end up that way? Yes, a lot of guys do end up that way. But I wasn't one of the guys that wanted to end up that way. I wasn't one of the guys that did this just because I wanted to be famous and for people to chant my name. I wanted to make some money and be able to retire and take care of my family and still be able to continue to live life as well. So certain people do it for different reasons. So I just think that's just life. And to try to shield ourselves from life, we're doing ourselves a disservice more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that at all. I don't. I guess it's just for me, and maybe it's just, I don't know. Maybe it's like an old school mentality of somewhat because the people who are doing these Viceland, that they're not one of the Brotherhood, right? They're not a member of the Cauliflower Alley Club. I think that it's one thing if Booker T is passing down the knowledge or New Jack wants to do it himself, but I always feel like when these people come from the outside, like when DDP did Jake's documentary. Again, this is another thing that shows you the real part of the industry, right? This man was broken down. He couldn't afford surgery. He thought everything was lost, didn't have a relationship with his daughter, whatever. And then through this story, you see that you can still overcome that. Maybe I just want to see the positive, ending. And I know there's not always one, but I don't know.
That, man.
I don't know. I just feel like it's a little exploitive, but I could just be in my feelings about it.
I don't look at it that way, man. I don't look at it that way at all. And if I felt that way, I would say it.
I know.
But every time one come out, I want to watch it. It makes me. I got to watch it. I've watched every one of them, and they all have compelled me to go, wow, man. That's pretty. Insightful. Man, I didn't know that. Even me being a part of the business, being around and knowing all of this stuff and saw it, you know what I mean? Not knowing the inside workings of it. I went, wow, man, that's some crazy stuff that was going on, Yeah.
The one thing about the Brawl for All that did make me laugh was that they put, Bart Gunn and Hardcore Holly were tag team partners. and they ended up getting in round one action.
Yeah.
Bart Gunn knocks Holly out, and then they had to ride to the next town together and stay in the same room that night.
The way they portray it, Dick Jericho does a good job of narrating it. So
he does good in pretty much everything he does. So.
I'm serious. I'm serious, man. It's not something that I shun upon at all, because it's definitely something that people need. Those stories, the Bruiser Brody story, that's one of those stories, man. It's like a folk tale. It's one of those stories that have lived in infamy for years, and we always wonder, man, what really happened. You know, we don't even know if they tell the story properly or if that's true, the way they say it happened. But I know, for me, being a young wrestler, being in that same locker room, in that same shower, taking a shower after a match, I always wondered, was this the spot? It's crazy. Yeah.
Well, from one story though to another, we got to talk about this story right here. 20 years ago, Book, this weekend, it was the 20th anniversary of Ready to Rumble. Yeah. I saw Charmel post something about it on online.
April 7th. Yeah. April 7th.
April 7th. Yeah. So we just passed it about a week ago, I guess. What do you remember? I thought we should celebrate a little bit of Ready to Rumble before we wrap up the Hall of Fame for this week, because as a wrestling fan, again, this movie was awesome. Looking at it now, there's a lot of stuff that, obviously isn't exactly the way that it goes down. And there's Hollywood aspects to wrestling in the movie, but God, was it so much fun to watch this thing in theaters and to watch it at home over and over on the VHS player. I watched this movie so many times.
I tell you, man, so I met the Queen at, so we've been together now like 20 years. We've been married 14. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Yeah.
How did you find out you were going to be in the movie? Like, who called you? I mean, was it Universal or whoever did? Was it Universal who did the movie?
I mean, I think it was. I can't remember who told me I was going to be in a movie. I just know I was going to be out in LA for 21 days straight. They had us at a nice hotel there, and we're going to be shooting a movie, and had a little small piece, had a little cameo spot and whatnot. So yeah, it was fun for me. It was one of those deals where work and vacation at the same time. I was getting paid a nice little chunk of money to do the movie. So it was that was pretty cool at the same time. Just to be out in LA in that scenery, young, wow, man, this is cool. So, man, everything about doing David Arquette, Oliver Platt, man, two cool dudes to actually, hang out with, who, seem like they love the business at the same time. No, David Arquette loves it, just for what he's doing right now. It was an awesome, awesome experience, man, to where, I tell you, man, I have to pinch myself sometime. All the experiences that I've been a part of throughout my life. I got this one plaque on my wall here. Just moments. This moment here let me see if I can get the light off of it. There it is, right there. This moment right here. Me and my brother was at the Daytona 500 back in WCW. And that's me and Lex Luger holding up Steve Grisham, who won the 300 before the 500. And we was there to experience that moment in Victory Lane, man. Daytona 500. Nuts. You know what I mean? So for me, the moments, man, being there and being a part of, so many of those moments, just nuts, man. Nuts.
Was it weird? Was it weird for you to go? I don't know. Was there some big premiere for Ready to Rumble? Was there like a big premiere party? Do you remember? or did you go and see it in the theater on your own? Or when was the first time you saw the movie?
We had a party and all that stuff. They had a premiere party, a grand red carpet deal and whatnot.
And what did you think of the movie when you saw it?
Nah, man, it was a good movie. It was funny. It was really funny, and I don't think it got enough credit. Yeah, I don't think people really gave that movie enough credit just because it was a WCW movie. You know, Diamond Dallas Page. You know, and people, just Page just trying to put himself over. You know, it's just one. You know how people think.
Yeah,
But it was one of those. It was one of those times to where, you know, Page made it happen, and Page brought a lot of guys with him. You know what I mean? That's the mark of a Hall of Famer, man. Is not, you know, if he get the Hall of Fame ring, but how many people he bring with him. You know what I mean? And that's the type of guy Dallas is, man. He brought even right now, you know what I mean? I heard Jake just moved back into the house. He's still bringing guys with him. You know what I mean? So I give so much, you know, props, man. You know, for Dallas and, you know, making that thing happen, you know, giving me a little piece of the action, you know, met Charmel, my life partner at the same time. So, nah, man, it was an awesome experience, and I would not change it for anything in this world. It was awesome.
Gotta love that movie, man. I might have to watch Ready to Rumble tonight. But, Book, I think we've covered everything. Is there anything else that we need to discuss before we wrap this one up this week?
Nah, man, that's about it, man. I think we need to just get everybody ready for WWE Backstage tomorrow night, guys. Get ready to check it out. Me, Christian, CM Punk is going to be back with my girl Renee Young, literally just guiding the ship, making sure we get through all calm waters. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what we're going to be talking about. Hadn't gotten the memo yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, we'll be talking a little bit about this Ronda Rousey thing, and we can get a much more broad perspective from the panel and see what they're talking about as well. So, nah, man, next week, guys, we're going to try to do this thing again, same place, same time, 2 p.m. Central Time. I don't know where you're at, but check your local listings. And we'll see you back inside the Hall of Fame. Get your champagne wishes, caviar dream. Bradley, there again, bro. Appreciate you for making this thing happen. And we about this mug.